How we doing, everyone? I hope we had a fantastic weekend. Over the weekend, I've received a number of questions, which is understandable given this is our first week with our first deliverable. I figured I'd create a video because you got to get used to seeing me in video form to answer some of your questions. So, first question is about the topical updates. I have not created the topical update schedule yet. We are not past ad drop. We still have people coming in and out of the course. So since the class roll is not set, I have not created the topical update schedule. I will before the end of the week. The first possible date you could be doing it is January 30th. This is only an activity that's going to take about an hour. Don't worry about it yet. Okay? Very, very soon, i.e. before a week from today, probably by the end of this week, you will have the Topic Talk schedule. Your individual journal is due at the end of the semester. You do not upload it each week to Blackboard. I see it once at the end of the semester. You keep it in a week by week. You write notes in it week by week. But you don't turn it in week by week. I only see it once and at the end of the semester. Now, your weekly deliverable that you do with your team, that's something else. Your team reads the articles, you do a weekly deliverable. That weekly deliverable is when all 4 of you or all 5 of you put your nuggets and takeaways and your questions into a document and you upload that to Blackboard. You can use that material to create your own personal journal entries that I will see at the end of the semester. So they're not completely separate. But your individual personal journal, I do not see it on a weekly basis. The paper. Some of you have been asking about what's a good book. Some of you have sent me 4 or 5 suggestions, and I've told you which one is the best. Some of you have a particular book you have to read at work or in another class or for something you always wanted to do. And I said, run with it. You know, do you have to okay it with me? No. Could you? Sure. Send me an email. All right, so what does your weekly team deliverable look like? I've received a number of questions about this. And at the same time, some of you have sent me yours. This is one from a previous semester. Hold on. So this is a team that sent me their team journal, their team deliverable. They listed the article, the authors, they listed their nuggets, and they asked a question. Article, authors, nuggets, and then they asked the question. I really like when there's the title of the article and you separate what are nuggets and what are questions. Because it's easier for me to cut and paste the questions. Because what I do is then I go create this document. Do you want to keep your customers forever? And these are all the questions asked by the teams for that particular article. Is your company ready for one-to-one marketing? These are all the questions that the teams asked for this particular article. How valuable is word of mouth? These are all the questions the teams asked for that particular article. What makes a great tweet? Do. Now, if you look at it, there's a lot of questions here. A lot of them are repetitive. And it may seem like there's a ton, and it may seem like this is going to be a 2-hour video, but it's not. It's about a 45-minute video that I create. Maybe 25% of a class time. So I'm going to create a YouTube video kind of like this with the questions here, and I'm going to answer them. Okay? The two last things I wanted to talk about. One, follow me on Twitter. I'm a huge fan of Twitter. It's probably my #1 social network. Between Twitter and LinkedIn, they're my 2 dominant. They're the ones I use the most. They're the ones I spend the most amount of time in. Okay? The last thing I want to talk about is podcasts. In some, you need podcasts on your phone. you have what I call dead time. Dead time is when nothing is happening. You could be commuting. You could be cleaning your house. You could be doing exercise. You could be doing other mindless activity, and you should be spending that time feeding your head. Okay? Let me make some recommendations. This is a really good one. How I built this, I have this on my phone. If you love entrepreneurial kind of things or entrepreneurial conversations, this is a very good podcast for you. Tim Ferriss Show, I do have it on my phone. I listen to maybe 1 out of every 5 or 6 episodes. It depends on who he's interviewing with. This one you need to put on your phone. The Gary Vee Audio Experience. There is one show I want you to listen to. Okay? Oh. Not that one. Here we go. See this mobile talk at South by Southwest? It was a heated conversation between Gary, the bottom-up guy, and a senior executive at Mondelez, who happens to be one of Gary's clients, who's a top-down guy, who's trying to become bottom-up, but he still's fighting it, and he's kind of top-down. This is a tremendous, it's 28 minutes. Between now and the end of January, I want you to listen to this one right here. Mobile Talk at South by Southwest. It's basically the thesis that we set out the other day, that the traditional advertising world is crumbling in front of us, that culture is changing, and how weird corporate America still is behaving the way they're behaving. It's a fantastic conversation. It fits very well with how we started the semester and how we're going to continue throughout the semester. Now, beyond the Gary Vee Experience, some other podcasts you should listen to. If you like the entrepreneurial stuff, Stanford's Entrepreneurial Thought Leaders. Absolutely fantastic. I listen to the TED Radio Hour, and I also listen to TED Talks. They're fantastic. This is an absolute must. You need this one on your phone. You need this one on your phone. If you're in my class, you're this semester, you gotta have the HBR IdeaCast on your phone. It's just too good. This is the best how-to social media podcast, period. It's fantastic. It's one of the originals. I kind of like this guy. I love the topics. They do a fantastic job. The other things you should check out. I personally believe that RE Code is the best tech blog out there. Meaning, this is Wall Street Journal quality, and it's a lot of former Wall Street Journal reporters that created RE Code. And this is more business-leaning, business-oriented. This is Wall Street Journal. Mashable is also very good. I actually have a Dr. Dano student working at Mashable. And at the same time, Mashable is more Time Magazine social media. This is more consumer-oriented. It has a stronger consumer slant. This is much more business-oriented. This is more of a Wall Street Journal, Business Week kind of a slant. Okay? Now, some of my other most popular podcasts I listen to are RE Code podcasts. And unfortunately, they don't list them here simply and easily. But I can tell you them all right here. RE Decode, Kara Swisher, RE Code Media with Peter Kafka, Too Embarrassed to Ask, and finally RE Code Replay. If you just go, when you go into your podcast app and you type in RE Code, they'll all pop up. Speaking of podcast app, if you have iOS, you have a default podcast player on your phone. There's also other ones such as Stitcher Radio and Overcast. Overcast is quite good. If you use Android, there is the Google Play Store, but also Stitcher Radio is a very good app that you can use in the Android ecosystem. Just go into Stitcher Radio, you would search for Harvard Business Review IdeaCast, you would search for the TED Radio Hour, and you would put them on your phone. And you would listen to them whenever you want to listen to them. Now, even though I'm giving you all recommendations specifically related to our class, I mean, anything you can think of these days, there's an audio version of it. For my ESPN people out there, if you like Pardon the Interruption, they make a podcast from it. If you like the Mike and Mike Show, they make a podcast for it. Pretty much every sports audio thing out there, there's a podcast version of it. So why don't you just download the feed onto your phone, and when you have dead time, when you're commuting on the train, feed your head. All right, if you have more questions, shoot me email. Thanks.